Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at a custom mission I put together with 40k in mind, but you can also use it for one-page rules. We'll take a look at the mission itself and talk a little bit throughout the video about writing narrative campaigns and how to set up your terrain on the tabletop too. This is all part of a project I'm working on to try and mash together Kill Team and 40k into one narrative campaign. So you play your Kill Team missions, and then depending on the outcome, there'll be different missions to play in larger battles with 40k rules. This is the first mission I put together now, so I've written it all up and play tested it yesterday. It went really well, so changed a few things, tweaked it, and a shout out to Tom who played it with me to go through the rules, so it went really well. The next step now will be to work out all the different missions for Kill Team, the different missions I want to write up for 40k, and then do some kind of tree where you can advance through the campaign playing the different missions. All of these are going to be available for free as PDFs for my Patreon supporters, and I'll cover them here on the channel. I've also put some new perks up on my Patreon recently. The older perks are still there, so that's cool, but if you wanted to do something a little bit different, you can sponsor a video for £33 per month, and then you'll get featured in that video, or I can help you to start your own YouTube channel or write and publish a book. So there's some different options there, and these can be either in person or we can do video calls. So it'd be great if you check it out. I'll put a link in the description down below where you can find out more. Right, let's have a look at this mission and talk through some of the decisions I made when putting it together. Hopefully this is going to help you to come up with your own custom missions, which is great fun, especially for narrative play. We'll have a look at the map first. So the battle map size is going to work for any popular gaming size. And we know with like 40k, it's 44 by 30 inch, 44 by 60 or 44 by 90. But as I said in the intro, it's going to work just as well for one-page rules and other big games. Then we've got this here, the battle map with some terrain layout. This is a suggested terrain layout. You don't have to follow this, but this is what I did in the game I played yesterday. And I'll show you some photos in a second so you can see it all out on the tabletop. And it worked out nicely. It really does focus all the fighting in the centre of the table, which I liked. And also the bridges across a river was a nice touch. But you don't have to do that. But I do think it adds a little twist to the game. Taking that map key, I've placed all the terrain out on the tabletop here, and when you start playing the game with your opponent, just agree on the terrain rules for each of the different pieces. So you might have light cover, heavy cover, that's up to you. The mission's written up so you can apply it to different games and then apply the rules from those different games into the terrain itself. I really like this river going through, and I've just used a little bit of a blue plastic tablecloth, and then the bridges I made with some Battle Systems terrain pieces, popped those together, some trees from Citadel, and then I've got some light terrain. This is from the Morok Kill Team set, some terrain from that, including these pieces here, which are perfect for the comms station that I wanted to feature in the game. And then there's some other little bits dotted around and some terrain to represent ruins. The others, I haven't painted these up yet. I'm thinking of going green so it all matches with the Morok terrain. And a few little stones in the river just to bring it to life a little bit. And then I just use some foam underneath the mats to raise them up. For the objective markers, we'll be talking about the objectives later on in the video, but I've used 2 markers for the bridge and then 6 models to represent other objectives, which will be operatives that are part of the Kill Team from the previous mission that would be played before this one. So I've popped those 2 objectives on the bridges in line with the map, and then I'll put these models down, and these will be the 6 objectives that we really have to get to. So the idea is you control the bridge, secure that extraction zone, and then rescue the operatives and get that vital intel. But if you're playing the enemy, you're also going to want to take command of those bridges and capture the operatives. So there we go, that's all the terrain laid out, and here's a close-up look of the battle map with that terrain and the map key. And so very straightforward, but you notice I put a lot of the objectives in that centre third of the battlefield. I really like that idea. The bridges are going to funnel a lot of the attention there as well, but really the mission is all about getting to those operatives. So you've got the enemy force trying to capture them, you've got the extraction force coming in to try and cover their retreat, and then while those 2 bridges are the choke points, you're going to have to control those, and whoever can is going to be in a much better position to then start getting to those operatives. I'm hoping this would really drive the action, and rather than having objectives in each of the deployment zones, this is really forcing the armies to come out, meet in the middle, and be a bit more dynamic than some of the games I've played in the past. The 2 deployment zones are going to reflect that as well. You're going to get that point going forward, so you can get quite close to the centre as you deploy each side. That's covered the terrain and the map. Let's have a look at the mission itself, and we'll work through the different steps of it. Here's the briefing. This is going to outline the actual story, what's going on and what we need to do. And here you can see a kill team has infiltrated an enemy comm station to recover vital intelligence. The mission was successful and the kill team recovered the information and fought their way out of the facility. A strong enemy force is now pursuing them as they make their way to the extraction point, pinning them down and making their escape impossible. The kill team requested an extraction force to secure their escape. As we saw from the battle map, the kill team operatives are spread out and pinned down just outside of the extraction point. If they're not retrieved in time, they will be captured and the vital intelligence will be lost. 6 kill team operatives are remaining and the intel is with one of them. The extraction force must secure the extraction point and recover the intel before the enemy force reaches them. I've tried to keep the rules pretty simple, use bullet points so it's nice and crisp and clear. And so here the rules are: 1 player is the enemy force, 1 player is the extraction force. You may search or interrogate an operative more than once, and that ties in with some actions you'll see in a second. Until that intelligence is found, at least 1 operative must remain on the battlefield. When the intel is found, that model must remain on the battlefield and cannot be eliminated or covered. We'll go over that in a second too. When the intel is found, no further operatives can be searched or interrogated, and the game is going to last for an agreed number of rounds. So again, this will tie in with whichever game you're playing, but I recommend 40k is going to be 5 rounds. Then there's just a few points about terrain, so include things like trees, bushes, the shallow river if you want to. Key features: the comm station, ruins, those 2 bridges going over the river, and then 6 models to represent the operatives. I thought of 2 optional rules you might want to include. One of them is that the river can be crossed by vehicles but could be too deep for infantry to go across on foot. And the other rule is that vehicles can move through those trees and small ruins, but when they do, those trees and small ruins will no longer give that cover. I also encourage you to come up with your own rules. It's really fun just to add to this and make the mission your own. Let's talk about objectives then. So here I've just come up with points, not based on any of the 40k kind of points values or anything like that, just something that I thought would really focus the attention on the different objectives and focus like the points to control, like the bridges. So for the primary objectives, we've got to secure 1 bridge. That will get us 1 victory point, and I've put at the end of an agreed phase. So in 40k, you could agree this will be at the end of the command phase, and then in the 5th round, it could be at the end of the round maybe. If you can secure 2 bridges, you're going to get 3 victory points at the end of the agreed phase. You're also going to have the option to search and interrogate an operative, and each time you do it, you'll get 1 victory point. If you're lucky enough to find the intel, you'll get a further 2 victory points. Secondary objectives, this is all about eliminating an operative, and if you do that, you'll get 1 victory point for each operative you eliminate. And also, if you want to cover the extraction of 1 operative, you'll get 1 victory point. So if you're the enemy, you're going to be eliminating. If you're the extraction force, you're going to be covering. Then I thought it would be fun to have another objective that's at the end of the game. So it's not tied in with those. And so the first one is that if you control the operative who has the intel at the end of the final round, you're going to get 3 victory points. And if that operative with the intel is in the controlling player's deployment zone, you'll get a further 2 victory points. So you really are pushed to find that intel and then get the operative to your own deployment zone and take them out of the battle. Let's look at the actions, and the first one is search or interrogate. This is 1 action. Now, if you do these actions, you cannot shoot in the same turn. So I thought that was the best way to word it so that it would apply to different games, because sometimes you might have a stratagem that allows you to shoot and carry out an action, and I didn't want that. The idea is that the unit that is carrying out the action is really focused on that action. So you'll use 1 action to search or interrogate each operative. Roll 1d6. On a 1 to 5, the operative does not have or give up the intelligence, but on a 6, the operative does have it. Now, you might not find the intel straight away, so say you roll a 1, that operative's not going to have it. But you might want to wait for your next turn and search that operative again, and so you're able to do that until one operative with the intel has been found. But if you do find that you're getting to some of the later rounds and you haven't found that intel yet, I've put a little mechanic in there that in round 3 you can add 1 to that roll, and in round 4 you can add 3 to that roll. So here we can see the Space Wolves have captured the Krieg and they're going to interrogate him. So they're rolling the dice. They roll a 1, so he hasn't given up the information yet. And then in the next turn, if they want to, they can search again or bring in another unit. You may bring in the big guns for the interrogation who might find the intel. So that's covered searching. Now let's have a look at the eliminate action. This is simply a choice you make to eliminate the operative, and you basically pretend you've shot him or executed him and then remove that model from the battlefield and gain 1 VP. Another action is the cover actions. This is what the extraction force player will be carrying out. So he's not going to eliminate his own operatives who's there to rescue, but he's going to provide cover fire for them to be extracted. The friendly player is also going to have the option to search, so it's the same as this search interrogate action, and if they roll a 6, they get that intel, and they're going to want to get that model then, the operative carrying the intel, get him to safety, and hopefully into the deployment zone by the end of the battle. If they carry out the search action and fail, they also have the option to keep searching until someone finds the intel on one of the operatives. Once intel's been found somewhere, they may want to then extract one of those operatives who doesn't have the intel, so they'll use the cover action. It's one action, again, they can't shoot in the same round, and then that model will be removed from the battlefield. There we go, that pretty much sums up the mission. Here you can see one of the primary objectives is securing that bridge, and hopefully if you can get both of those bridges secured, that's going to get you plenty of victory points each round, so that's soon going to rack up. But overall, I think this was a really fun mission to play. The good thing will be you can use any army as well. It doesn't have to be armies that I used when I played the game, although a lot of it is built around my Kachan kill team that I'm building. But yeah, great fun, and the whole idea of playing the narrative games is just to mix it up a bit so you don't feel like you're just going through motions and just grabbing objectives. There's got to be a reason behind these objectives, so that's something I'm really trying to bring into the game. I like the idea that this has got some structure to it, but also there's a lot of chance involved as well. There's going to be to-ing and fro-in to get the operative, and then it really all depends who's going to find that intel, capture the operative by the end of the game, and then get them into the deployment zone for maximum points. If you're a Patreon member already, this mission is up on the Patreon page. You can go there, download the PDF and give it a go. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have fun playing the game. Also hope you enjoyed this video and just seeing how I put together the mission, some of the things I was thinking about as I did it. But let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Do you write your own missions? Got any tips for us? Share it down below. It'd be great to hear what you think. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you did like it. If you did, please hit that like button. Subscribe as well. That really helps the channel. And if you've been enjoying the videos I've been putting out recently, it would be awesome if you consider subscribing. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you here next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. A massive thank you to my Patreon supporters for helping me keep going with these daily videos. It's awesome to have your support, and I appreciate it so much, and I hope you enjoy the new content that's been popping up on Patreon recently.